And welcome back to The Full View. Now, ANC Secretary General Magashule has rubbished reports that he's plotting to unseat party President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Magashule has admitted that he met former President Jacob Zuma last week, but refused to divulge details of that meeting. Of course, there's been a lot of speculation about what was possibly discussed. He spoke to reporter Montlenyane Diphoko.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to speak to you. As you can tell South Africans about the meeting you held with former President Jacob Zuma and Ramaphosa about the alleged plot to unseat the sitting president of the ANC, Ramaphosa.
Well, afternoon and thanks for the meeting. No, I had a meeting with President Jacob Zuma, the former president of the ANC, and I think I never denied that I had a meeting. When a journalist, somebody who called himself a journalist, approached us outside the hotel and said, I heard you have a meeting with President Jacob Zuma and others. We look at the chap and the chap just ran off. And the next thing we see is that we were plotting when we met at a public place at the hotel. And you know, we met at the foyer there by the hotel. And I had my engagement with President Jacob Zuma, and we had a meeting with Supra. And there were also SASCO leaders there who wanted to meet the president. So I've never denied that I had a meeting with President Jacob Zuma. This is what the media says, Sunday Times.
Is it possible for us to for you to tell us what was the meeting all about?
That's why I'm surprised why I'm supposed to be accounting when I meet leaders of the ANC. It's not the first time I met President Jacob Zuma. It's not the first time or any other time I meet with leaders of the ANC throughout the country, because I have actually initiated the meeting with President Jacob Zuma because I wanted to raise certain matters with him.
So you want to tell us what you discussed with former president?
No, I can't talk about what we discussed because it's matters which are organizational, and I have actually talked to the national officials about our engagement with President Jacob Zuma.
Don't you think it's concerning for SG of the ANC, to be having a meeting with the former chairperson of the province, whose PE was just disbanded just a few days before your meeting?
No. There's nothing wrong. Comrade Supra was in Durban. I met him there. So there was nothing wrong to meet with him there.
Earlier this year, you addressed an ANC rally in Cape Town, in KZN, where you told your comrades that they must wait 5 years. It's just about, they must just wait 5 years is nothing. They'll have.
Don't quote me out of context, because I explained to those who were not happy about the outcome of Nasrec, and I contextualized it to say, but wait, if you don't like leaders are elected. Wait until that time comes. And it can't be even an issue now, because we dealt with that matter as the ANC internally. And that's how we deal with our matters. We deal with our matters as an organization, and we don't have to give details of the way we have dealt with this matter. At that time, I'm sure it's public knowledge that you know by now that it's a matter, is a thing of the past. We have agreed that we are moving forward, and I was cited out of context, and I've explained that context why I said that.
We do say to South Africans there is unity within the top six of the ANC?
Well, within the top six of the ANC there is indeed unity. We are working on unity because unity is a process. There is unity in the National Executive Committee and the National Working Committee, because unity doesn't mean that there won't be different views. But once the views of the majority are engaged, those views of the majority prevails, and we all understand that we all have to be loyal to the decisions of the movement and the decisions of a collective. I don't know how a journalist come and say there was a meeting, and he says in that meeting where he was not, he then says there is a plot. I mean, it's mischievous. Honestly mischievous.
You know, you were known before. I mean, it was a known fact before we went to Masrek that you were leading the so-called Premier League, which obviously is still unhappy with the outcome of Nasrec. Can we say we have moved on from that conference? Can you assure South Africans that the ANC have moved on from that conference?
I think we have moved. Those who are still trapped there is something else, because there's nothing you can do. You have to accept. That's the culture and the tradition and the character of the ANC. The voice of the majority was heard. And here we are a collective leadership. And I'm part of that collective, and my work is to ensure that I move with the collective.
You know, it's common knowledge that the losing camp after the conference always try to regroup. Are you not worried about you being seen with former president and shortly after Poloko, and especially in the light of what is taking place at the state capture? That yesterday, for an example, your province was mentioned as one of the highest funders of the now defunct AN7 and the group.
My province was not the funder. There is a procurement. If you can tell me that they did not go through procurement procedures, and we as politicians were not involved in that process, go and check, because even National Treasury accept that processes were above board. And I'm prepared and willing at any given stage to go to the State Capture Commission. It shows that I'm part of the organization, and my organization will give directives. There is nothing wrong with what has actually happened. And I'm sure we should not mix issues here. I'm sure today's press conference is about a so-called plot. You know how many leaders have been tarnished about plots and plots and plots. How can one oust the president, who is elected by branches of the ANC?
Okay, maybe just one question about because obviously your former allies. There is a concern there that they might face prosecution. I mean, the revelations which are coming out of that State Capture Commission are quite damning. Are you concerned?
Who are my allies?
Okay. I mean, you are a strong ally of former President Jacob Zuma, and his name is mentioned there.
I respected President Jacob Zuma as the president of the ANC, and that's the reason why I also respect President Cyril Ramaphosa. I've respected President Mandela. I've respected President Mbeki. There is nothing wrong. Once you are a leader of an organization, I'm bound by our culture and tradition to respect you and defend you. And that's what I've done when President Zuma was the president of the ANC. And this is what I will do when President Ramaphosa is the president of the ANC.
Okay, going back to this meeting, your NEC members, some of your colleagues in the NEC, like Jackson Mthembu, and are saying that action need to be taken, ASAP about this meeting. Even COSATU yesterday, they are calling for a stringent measure to be taken against.
I'm sure we will engage with my colleagues, but how do we believe a story which says we were plotting President Ramaphosa in a meeting we are not part of? Just imagine, I mean, it's real mischievous. How do you believe? I don't still understand how an ordinary person believes out there that meeting President Zuma is plotting. Because not the last time I'll meet President Zuma.
So
it's not the last time I'll meet other leaders of the ANC. Because my work is to go to all these leaders as we try to unite the movement, to meet all those who were MK counsel, to meet MK comrades and say, this is the time to move forward and unite and focus on elections.
Based on what is transpiring at the state capture report, are you concerned that you might not finish your term as the ANC Secretary General?
Why? Why do you link the state capture and me?
I mean, revelations which are coming out.
What did they say about me?
You were in charge of the province, Magashule, when, like I said, your province was one of the biggest, funder of the Guptas.
So
I mean, in terms
the biggest was not national departments?
Yes, okay, national, and yours was, I'm talking in terms of provinces.
Yeah.
And there were reports that your son was part of them.
No, please. Don't act like a court of law. You know I'm not implicated there. If I'm implicated, I'll be called.
So for now, you find with what is taking place there. You're not concerned at all.
No, not at all, because I know I've not done anything wrong.
Dr. Mashila, thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure, sir.